Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi-Night. I'm your host, Sebastian Vendel Martinez, and this is another Sci-Fi-Night special. So in a previous special episode, we took a look at the 1989 underwater sci-fi craze, which you can view by clicking, let's say here. However, this time we're going to take a look at some horror movies whose terror continued in real life. If a well-made horror movie does its job, it will continue to creep you out even after the credits have rolled. Sometimes though, the audience aren't the only ones struck by terror. Sometimes the cast and crew end up in very real horrific situations. Throughout history, there have been a few very special cases of horror movie productions that have been deemed as cursed or haunted. So, I consider myself a pretty rational guy, but I have to admit that I'm also kind of superstitious. And that's kind of why I think so many of these strange coincidences are so creepy. But let's find out for ourselves. Is this the work of something dark and deeper, or are these just very strange coincidences? It's sometimes believed that certain topics or themes can awake bad spirits and that this can affect the entire production of a film. So, from strange happenings, deadly accidents to horrific suicides, let's check out some horror movie productions that have been deemed cursed. Now, we're obviously not trying to make light of any of the tragedies that have occurred, we're simply going to talk about these creepy occurrences because I love being freaked out, and I'm sure some of you do as well. Alright, so we're going to start out with something modern, the 2012 movie Possession, which by the way is based on a true story, so sweet dreams. So this film is a little different from the others because the Possession is actually based on Jewish mythology and demons, as opposed to Christian, which is the norm.
Oil of 2 olive trees. Oil represents light, water represents darkness. May God separate between these two, as only light can dispel darkness.
In the film, a little girl buys an antique box at a yard sale not knowing that it's actually a dubuk, which is basically a device to trap evil spirits. She unwittingly unleashes the evil demon, and as the title of the film suggests, gets possessed. I found the film perfectly enjoyable and fun, and the Jewish mythology angle made an otherwise overdone concept seem a bit more fresh. But what's really interesting is all the strange things that occur during filming. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played the father in the film, was quite the skeptic upon first receiving the role. But interestingly enough, the events during filming made him broaden his horizons. Morgan has stated in multiple interviews that lights would actually explode during filming.
There was a weird enough things going on around our set that I've never seen happen on sets before. You would have lights like the one behind you, like a 5K light, and this happened more than once, and it always happened in the middle of doing key scenes. It didn't happen in between takes or doing like scenes, I guess, that didn't really have a big story impact, but there were always key scenes and they would explode. Our sets were a soundstage, big but not drafty. No open doors, no fans blowing, and all of a sudden you get hit with like cold air.
But that's not the craziest thing, because the paranormal stuff wouldn't really ignite until after filming. After shooting had wrapped, all the props from the film were destroyed in a strange fire whose origin couldn't be traced. According to reports, investigators deemed that the fire was not caused by arson or electrical malfunction, leaving the question, what caused the strange fire? So with that out of the way, let's move on to one of the all-time greats, 1973's The Exorcist. Now, admittedly, not every piece of lore around the making of this film is actually confirmed, but it's all being pretty widely alleged. So we all know the story. A young girl gets possessed by the devil, and a priest is called in to exorcise the demon. However, according to reports, 9 people associated with the film, as well as the film's cast and crew, died during and shortly after the filming of The Exorcist. Now, although some of this has been disputed, actors Jack McGowan and Vasiliki Malarios both died before the film was released. One thing that's also confirmed is that a huge fire very randomly broke out, destroying parts of a set and delaying filming. This, in combination with many other strange accidents, prompted director William Friedkin to bring in an actual priest to give a blessing. So I know that's very creepy, but I can't stop thinking about how meta it is that they had to bring in an exorcist to exorcise the set of The Exorcist. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Reports of a woman having a miscarriage as a result of watching the film adds to the creepy, cursed nature of the film. Also, lead star Linda Blair supposedly had a mental breakdown, though how much of it was in the nature of the filming and how much was supernatural is up for debate.
She may look like the girl next door, but the girl next door doesn't get racehorses for birthday presents. And the world's press doesn't ask the girl next door about blasphemy, vomit, and obscenity.
Alright, so that's pretty creepy. These old school movies don't mess around. But we're actually going to move a little bit forward in time with the 2013 film The Conjuring. The Conjuring is directed by James Wan, known for Saw, Dead Silence, and Insidious. The Conjuring follows a couple who are paranormal investigators trying to rid a family's farmhouse of some kind of dark evil force. The real-life Perron family are the ones who lived in the house that the events in the film are based on, and they actually visited the set a few times. It's been reported that once while the family was on set, a very strong gust of wind started blowing all around the family, but cast and crew members noticed that the nearby trees were completely still, meaning that this was an extremely unusual wind pattern, or something else. While this was happening, one of the family members who had decided to stay at home immediately felt an ill presence, fell, and had to be taken to the hospital. Yeah, but that's probably the least creepy thing that happened during the making of this movie. Just a few days after the events with the family and the strange wind, the hotel that the majority of the cast and crew were staying at caught fire and had to be evacuated. Also, director James Wan reported being up late working one night when his dog inexplicably started barking and growling aggressively. However, Wan couldn't find anyone or anything that seemed to be disturbing the dog, who kept on growling intensely as if it was in danger. One of the most well-known creepy things that happened actually occurred to actress Vera Farmiga before they even started shooting the film. So Farmiga is the actress that plays one of the paranormal investigators. Producer Peter Safran recalls sending Farmiga the script. She read it and was very interested in the role, so she decided to get in contact with the crew via phone or Skype the day after. However, when she woke up, she found what looked like a claw mark across her laptop screen. Alright, so claw marks on a laptop screen are all fine and well, but what about an actual string of deaths? We're talking about the famous poltergeist curse that stretched from the 1982 film original to the 1988 film Poltergeist 3. Wow, just wow. This is one of the creepiest trilogies ever in terms of messed up stuff happening around the production. The Tobe Hooper directed film tells the classic story about a family whose house is haunted due to it being built on a Native American burial ground, and of course 2 sequels followed as it was very successful. The film trilogy has been infamously plagued by problems and death. Many believe that the reason for this is that the producers used actual human bones in the first movie. Yeah, that's right. At the end of the first film, the actors were unknowingly handling real human remains. Talk about a case of asshole producers. Strange tragedies started occurring after the first film, though. 5 months after the release of the first film, actress Dominique Dunn, who plays the oldest daughter Dana, was brutally strangled outside of her home by her ex-boyfriend. She sadly died 5 days later at the hospital. So after the uproar around the use of real human bones and the death of Dunn, they brought in Will Sampson, who starred in Poltergeist 2, to perform an exorcism on the set. However, it didn't seem to work. Actor Julian Beck, who played the super creepy character Kane, was diagnosed with stomach cancer before the production of Poltergeist 2 had actually started, and he died in 1985 before the film was even released. 2 years later, Will Sampson, the actor who performed the exorcism on site, died of malnutrition and kidney failure. One of the biggest tragedies associated with the so-called Poltergeist curse, however, happened to the youngest actress involved, Heather O'Rourke, who played the youngest daughter Carol Ann. In 1988, before the release of Poltergeist 3, she was brought into the hospital with what seemed like flu-like symptoms. However, she very sadly passed away due to cardiac arrest and septic shock due to a misdiagnosis. But it doesn't stop there. In 2009, 27 years after the film's release, actor Lou Perryman, who played the character Pugsley in the first film, was at home in Austin, Texas, when a recently released convict broke into his house and brutally murdered him with an axe. That's fucked up how random and scary that is. So, did the use of actual human bones anger some kind of spirit that cursed the set? Well, we'll never really know, but you can be damn sure that I'm never gonna play around with any human remains. Still though, the brutal strangeness doesn't stop there. We're moving on to the 1968 film Rosemary's Baby. So a classic horror film, Rosemary's Baby, is directed by Roman Polanski and is about a woman whose husband makes a deal with a Satan-worshipping neighbors for her to bear the child of Satan. Because that's what a really shitty husband does? Yeah, it starts out with them not letting you go out in a certain dress. The next thing you know, they're sacrificing your womb to the devil. Stay away from weird cultists. So this is definitely one of the strangest occurrences because it's very tragic and very brutal. In March 1969, director Roman Polanski bought a house for himself and his 8 months pregnant wife. The house had previously been owned by music producer Terry Melcher, who had refused to record music for the infamous cult leader Charles Manson. Apparently Manson had been angered by the music producer's actions and sent cult members to the house. Whether they knew that Melcher didn't live there or not, the cult members broke into the house and murdered Polanski's wife as well as 4 others, stabbing all the victims multiple times. The horrible tragedy is what cemented the supposed Rosemary's Baby curse, and considering the brutal violence of it all, it's not strange that this film has a scary reputation. We're gonna round off with what may very well be one of the creepiest cursed films, 1976's The Omen. What could be more chilling than what happened during the production of Poltergeist and Rosemary's Baby? Well, you're about to find out. This classic horror film starring Gregory Peck is about an ambassador whose son may very well be the Antichrist. And it seems that the plot of this film angered some kind of pissed off demon because I've never seen this many creepy coincidences before in my life.
Well, I don't believe my salvation depends on believing in the devil. I think it depends on believing in Jesus Christ. And I told that to a famous theologian I was having dinner with one night. He said, look, he says, if you guys go ahead and make this movie, before you are done, you will believe the devil exists. And he was absolutely right.
1 month before filming began, main actor Gregory Peck's son committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. During the filming, writer David Seltzer, actor Gregory Peck, and producer Mace Newfield's airplanes were all struck by lightning on separate occasions. So lightning doesn't strike twice for this production, it strikes thrice. On top of that, during production of filming, the IRA bombed the hotel that one of the producers was staying at, as well as the restaurant that the director and crew were scheduled to eat at. Luckily, nobody was killed in the bombings though. Alright, so that might not seem too creepy, but just wait, because things are about to get crazy. On Friday the 13th, 1976, yeah, I'm not making this up, it was actually on Friday the 13th, special effects consultant John Richardson and his assistant were driving in the Netherlands. Richardson lost control and crashed his car, injuring himself. Unfortunately, his assistant was decapitated in the accident. When Richardson crawled out from the wreck, he saw a roadside with the name of a Dutch town, Amen, which was 66.6 kilometers away. Actor Gregory Peck was set to leave on a flight to Israel for filming, however he ended up taking another plane. The original plane he was supposed to take crashed, killing everyone on board. On top of that, one of the animal handlers working on the film died.
The day we left the lion compound to go into the baboon section, the guard was in his little booth. I guess left his door open. 2 lions came in, attacked him, and killed him. That day.
And an airplane meant to be used in the film crashed before that could happen, once again killing everyone on board. So were these films actually cursed? Well, maybe? I mean, it's pretty strange that there are these many creepy coincidences. However, it's not like other film productions haven't had tragic accidents. Still though, the nature of these films and the strangeness of these tragedies is what makes all this so creepy. I mean, yeah, let's be honest, there are other films that aren't horror that have had similar strange, tragic coincidences. But like I said, it's the nature of these films and their content that makes all this so strange. And for things like The Exorcist and The Omen, how can all these have been coincidences? I mean, I'm not gonna go too deep into this, trying to contact some kind of spirit handler or play around with a Ouija board or anything, but let's just say that these are some very strange, tragic, and creepy things that will forever be shrouded in mystery. So that does it for this Sci-Fi Night special. We hope you enjoyed it. And what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Are some films actually cursed? Or are these just really weird random coincidences? So, as always, I'm your host, Sebastian Vendel Martinez, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Who is he? What does he want? Where did he come from? And can he be stopped?